Chapter 32. In October 27, 1975, David Stevens and Glenn Gray were hanging out in their home in Norway, Maine. At around 3 o'clock in the morning, they heard a loud explosion from outside. They went outside to see what was the cause of it, but they saw nothing out of the ordinary. On a whim, David and Glenn got into their car and decided to drive to Lake Thompson in Oxford. They were driving in Route 26 for less than a mile, and they claimed that their car was enveloped in some type of force field. They reached the lake and they saw a bright light in an adjacent field. The light raised slowly into the air, and the source of the light could be seen. It was a massive cylinder-shaped object, and it was moving towards their car. The men sped out of the area. The next day, a UFO investigator by the name of Brent Rains got a call from Shirley Fickett, which was another investigator. Two hours later, Brent Rains interviewed David and Glenn, and he found them to be believable. Word got out of David's experience in the small town he lived. And people started noticing weird things. And a lot of people seemed to believe there was something odd going on. David and Glenn saw multiple UFO sightings, but also complained of paranormal activity in and outside of their home. During the daylight hours of the 28th, the two men went back to the area where they saw the UFO, and supposedly the abduction took place. And they noticed that ash was falling like snow, and they could see black cubes and silver spheres flying about. They went to their home and they witnessed small black cubes that were floating through the walls, and golden wires that appear and disappear above the television set. They also saw an ashtray float up into the air and drop back down. David also heard knocks at the front door and footsteps at the roof of his house, and he heard a voice that said, UFO. "16 days later, Shirley Fickett visited David and Glenn to conduct more interviews. She heard about their missing time and their thoughts of possibly being abducted. Then Dr. Herbert Hawkins agreed to conduct hypnotic regression sessions for free. Through these sessions, David revealed that he had been aboard a UFO and he saw his captors. Shirley wrote in an article for Flying Saucer Review that David came into contact with a non-human being that was not of this world. After the first session, Glenn withdrew from further analysis and moved out of state. David felt bad about this because he could tell that his friend was deeply shaken. But David decided to keep up with the sessions. He described the beings to Shirley and Dr. Hawkins. Shirley drew a picture of one based on David's descriptions, and David drew one as well. The description was that the skin was white and the head was shaped like a mushroom, and it had two eyes, slanted, large, white, and unblinking. The nose was small and rounded, and no mouth could be seen. The beings wore long black gowns and had 3 fingers that were webbed. He described them as frightening things with angry eyes. He also said that he was examined from head to toe, and blood, hair, and nail samples were taken. In January of 1976, Brent Raines contacted psychiatrist Berthold Erich Schwartz. Schwartz interviewed David and his family, and he thought they were believable, that there was no evidence of lying, falsification, loss of memory, or anything psychological going on with David, and that also David did not have any knowledge of the Betty and Barney Hill abduction case. This was brought up because 1 week before David and Glenn's encounter, the movie version of the Betty and Barney Hill story called The UFO Incident was televised.